We're constantly told that waking up early is a sign of discipline. That means you're motivated, focused, and ahead of everyone else. That if you're not naturally waking up at dawn, you're doing something wrong. But the truth is quieter and far more psychological. Because for many people, waking up early without an alarm has very little to do with effort. It's not willpower. It's not a ground culture. It's biology. And once you understand that, the entire conversation around productivity, discipline, and self-control starts to fall apart. Most people don't realize this, but your brain runs on an internal clock, a system called the circadian rhythm. This clock controls when you feel sleepy, when you feel alert, when your body temperature rises, and when key hormones are released. It decides when your brain wants to shut down and when it wants to wake up. And here's the part that changes everything. That clock is not the same for everyone. Some people are biologically wired to wake up early. Others are wired to function better later in the day, and no amount of motivation can fully override that wiring. People who wake up early without an alarm often fall into what psychologists call a morning-type chronotype. Their brains release melatonin, the sleep hormone, earlier in the evening. Their alertness peaks earlier in the day. Their nervous system naturally shifts into wakefulness before sunrise. So when they wake up early, it doesn't feel like effort. It feels inevitable. Their brain simply reaches a point where staying asleep no longer makes sense. Compare that to someone with a later chronotype. Their melatonin will be released later. Their mental sharpness peaks later. Their sleep pressure builds more slowly. When they're forced to wake up early, their brain isn't ready. They're often pulled out of deep sleep instead of light sleep. That's why alarms feel violent towards some people, not metaphorically, physiologically. The brain is interrupted mid-cycle, and the nervous system reacts with confusion, stress, and resistance. This is why two people can wake up at the same time and experience completely different mornings. One feels calm, clear, and steady. The other feels foggy, irritated, emotionally sensitive, or disconnected from their body. And neither of them is choosing that response. It happens automatically. There's also a personality component that rarely gets talked about. People who wake up early naturally often score higher in traits like conscientiousness and emotional regulation. But this doesn't mean waking up early creates these traits. It means the same neurological wiring that favors early rhythms also supports structure, predictability, and long-term planning. From the outside, it looks disciplined. From the inside, it feels alignment. Early risers often describe mornings as peaceful, quiet, grounded, mentally spacious. There's a biological reason for that too. Their cortisol, the hormone responsible for alertness, rises earlier and more gradually. Instead of being shocked awake, their nervous system eases into consciousness. That calm isn't earned, it's timed. Childhood plays a role here as well. People raised with consistent routines and predictable schedules often develop more stable circadian rhythms. Their brain learns when to expect rest and when to expect activity. But this doesn't override biology, it simply reinforces it, which is why strict schedules help some people thrive and completely break others. This is also why advice like "just wake up earlier" fails so often. For late chronotypes, going to bed earlier doesn't mean falling asleep earlier. The brain doesn't respond to commands. Sleep pressure doesn't obey motivation. Forcing early mornings on the wrong nervous system increases stress hormones, reduces sleep quality, and creates long-term exhaustion. Over time, this can lead to burnout, mood instability, and cognitive decline, not because the person is weak, but because the system is mismatched. What makes this worse is that early risers often don't realize this difference exists. From their perspective, waking up early feels normal, manageable, even virtuous. So they assume others could do the same if they tried harder. But that's like someone with perfect eyesight telling others to just focus. They're judging through the lens of their own biology. It's also important to understand that waking up early isn't always an advantage. Early risers often struggle with late-night creativity, social schedules, or irregular work hours. Meanwhile, evening-type brains often excel in fields that require sustained focus, abstract thinking, or late-night flow. Different rhythms create different strengths. Productivity doesn't belong to a time of day, it belongs to a window. And when people work inside their biological window, performance improves naturally. The real problem isn't sleeping, it's comparison. We've attached moral value to morning behavior. We praise early productivity and question late productivity. But psychology doesn't support that hierarchy. It supports alignment. So, this isn't about forcing yourself to wake up earlier, and it's not about rejecting structure either. It's about understanding how your nervous system works and working with it instead of against it. When people stop forcing someone else's rhythm onto their brain, something shifts. Energy stabilizes, focus improves, self-trust returns, and discipline stops feeling like punishment. People who wake up early without an alarm aren't superior, they're synchronized. Synchronized with their circadian rhythm, with their hormonal timing, with their neurological design. And synchronization always looks like discipline from the outside. So the next time you see someone waking up effortlessly at dawn, remember this. This isn't disciplined. This isn't a moral strength. This isn't superior. It's wiring. And the moment you stop fighting your own wiring, you stop wasting energy trying to live on someone else's clock.